That you meet here, they become permanent friends. And even if you only see them at the convention, you see them in the lobby. Hey, it's like getting together again, like a reunion of sorts. So I thoroughly enjoyed, especially this year, seeing all my friends. And I miss the ones that aren't here anymore as well. But today I want to explain to you how to work with the acrylic inks with watercolor. And the reason that I want to share this with you is because I was doing a lot of the trade show demonstrations, and they would give me different things to work with. And one day, Frank had given me some of these, and he says, "Try these out." And I was amazed because they're very much can be like watercolors. The one main difference, of course, is when you end up putting them on the paper. And I'm going to wet this whole paper down. And the reason for that is the acrylic inks that I'm going to put down here, I'm not necessarily in this particular painting going to have them be so important in the foreground, but more of a background combination of lights and darks that are going to give us a chance to have that down already before we even do the painting. Yes, I'm doing both sides. My board here is just a plastic board, so instead of a foam board, it's done in plastic, so it's non-porous. It's when it gets wet, it's not going to get damaged, and you can they're very inexpensive. They're less than $5, like so. um, I'm just going back and forth. I'm using Arches 140-pound paper, and the reason with Arches is this is what I once I became serious about art as watercolor medium, this is what was introduced to me, and I just never let go of loving Arches. And I find that it really can sop up the water the way I paint, and it's like a piece of cloth almost when it's wet. Yes, it does dry with a little bit of buckling, and in a little bit, I'm going to show you how to straighten that out very easily. I don't use the blacks because I'm a painter who paints big, and I would consider myself a retail painter. And by that, I mean, I do a lot of the outdoor shows. Um, and of course, my husband here is the strong arm as far as setting up the tent and listening to me. Oh, I need these few things just framed, and I need them by tomorrow, that type of thing. So we're going to take the acrylic inks, and even as they start to dry in the container, you can add fresh warm water to them. Not a lot, but enough to wake up something that's sort of on the way out. So you can always reuse them again and again. So this is pretty strong right now, but as I place it on with a little more moisture and get rid of that strong space, I'm thinking of it as in terms of a light source in the background. I'm doing a flower painting surprise, and I just want to make sure that I have some color in the background. So we're going to have a little bit of the yellow. You can see I'm using a fairly large flat brush. If I were using a brush that's just really small like this, by the time I get through getting this wet, on the other side, it's going to be completely dry. So think big when this is a half sheet, and usually I work with full sheets, but I think a half sheet is about what we can handle today and hopefully get something done. I've got shades of blue. Now this Faber-Castell has a little bit of a shine to it, and I'm just going to drop that in. And already it's doing some drying. I don't want any hard edges. I just want this to kind of be, to smooth this out. Don't want really brush strokes. I just want some nice soft edges on this. So as we connect this back and forth, probably a little more. And as the yellow and blue mix, obviously on the color wheel, you're going to find some of the yellow as I drop that in again against, whoa, we got a electric light going on here. So we've got too much. And this is what I was dreaming about last night. It's happening. All right. Wow. Well, yeah, wow. All right. Not a problem. We do want some electricity going on, so we'll just maybe let this kind of flow a little bit. It's really soaking wet, and that's fine with me because you'll find that when your paintings, when you're done with your painting, 140 pound, yeah, it's going to buckle a little bit. But let's say you have two of these boards, and you can just wet the back side, and you're going to find that what you can do is when you wet the back side, you put it on one of these boards, you take another board that's clean. Your painting has to be dry, of course, and then you put books on top of it. It really does take 4 days, and you can check it a little bit, but if it's still cold, don't take the books off, put the books back on, and just wait another day or so, and it'll come out completely flat for you. If you have a framer that you know by your first name, they can put it under that steamer thing, and they'll flatten it out and immediately if you need to have it right away. But generally speaking, you want your background to be very smooth and soft. It can have a few little runs on it or a few little openings. Make sure that you save a little bit of the white. So if you've gone a little bit too far in this area and you know you're going to have a flower in there, just kind of dabble it a little bit. But again, no hard edges. This is not a hard edge, it's a soft edge. You might want a little bit of uh, darkness someplace in here, maybe a little bit over in this area. That's not dark, but it's at least a deeper shade. All right, so we're set to go. We have to let this dry. And, I don't use a hair dryer. What I do is I'll do two paintings. So while this is drying, I'll start another one with the background. And that's really helpful when you're doing outdoor shows because you never have enough inventory. And it's also helpful because we really just want to paint. We don't want to have to be mussing around and waiting for that paint to dry. So it's an easy solvable situation when you have two or three things going on at once. And at least one of them will probably turn out really good for you. So, so we're going to put this in the drying room for now. We want to clear this off because as you can see, that starts puddling up and look how easy. It just comes right off. Now, the acrylic inks, what's the difference between acrylic inks and watercolor? Because really, I could have done this with watercolor and put it on wet with watercolor. But here's the reason I'm doing this is because I want this undercolor to stay put. When that dries, it's not watercolor. And when you hit the paints with it, the watercolor paints, it's not going to wake up and mix with the watercolors. It's just going to stay there as a bright, clean background color. So let me show you what I mean. So this has already dried. I've got an idea what I'm going to be doing. I've got some color coming in. Every time I do it, it's going to be a little bit different. I'm not a painter that needs to have everything perfect. And actually, this is my my study of what's light and dark. This is my drawing right here. This is because I have no idea what I'm going to be doing. It's scary when you're starting out painting like that, but when you're old like I am and you figure that, you know, um, I just want the process. I want to enjoy the fun of the process. And I think inside all of us, we're all kids. Do kids take the time to do a lot of pre-studying? They just want to get in there and paint. And that's the kid in me. I don't want to wait. I want to have some fun. So we can just go on and we can stick with a larger brush if you like. I got introduced to core paints from Golden, and I'm not doing a commercial. I'm just explaining some other products that maybe you haven't used yet or you're thinking of using. And I can tell you that the core paints are really great. I use other paints like, other brands, of course, but I was introduced to these, and this is what I have on my palette. And I have the names of them actually in tape all around. And the reason that I really was attracted to them is the color choices. It's has like a almost a gummy like substance to it. And at first I thought, oh, I don't know if I like that. But what happens is the color stays true. It really is a beautiful color combination. I'm going to do a beautiful flowers. I've got the passion flowers and the cattleya orchids, and then the dendrobium orchids. So we're going to start off by doing some of the background, and I've just got a little pencil drawing. Now, here's the thing with the watercolor pencils. You're going to find that uh, if you haven't used them before, a lot of you buy them and then you say, all right, now what am I going to do with them? Watercolor pencils for me can be that's where I begin to start doing my planning because I use different colors for different areas. And when I look at it, I'll say, well, there's too much red flowers over in this area. I need to bring some red over there. If the paper is wet when you're doing it, something else happens as well. And I just want to wet this just a little bit. I just want to show you a little bit of why I love the watercolor pencils. Now, very often you buy the color pencils that are they're just color pencils. When you buy something that actually has just watercolor in it, it's dried watercolor in this. So when you put it on your paper wet, you're going to get a wonderful line. And what happens